¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Derry Bennett, Heat, Michael Hausler, welcome everybody. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. As some of you, I suspect that all of you by this time know that the notorious war criminal Henry Kissinger has finally fucking died. So phenomenal news. We will be talking about that. Firefly, welcome. Normally, I'm not as eager to dance on people's graves, but this particular one deserves it. Henry Kissinger was a monster, and he was responsible for an uncounted amount of deaths that we will go over just some of the things that this horrible person is responsible for. Echo Resto Dragon, welcome. Just a real quick thank you to Zeoduke for the biddies. Judgment Free Zone. Welcome. I'm reading Christopher Hitchens' book about him now. I have not read that one. That's right. Subscribe and like the stream. How am I? I'm doing all right.
You know, Donald Trump apparently woke up in a bad mood on Wednesday morning because he just began attacking kind of everything under the sun, right? He was going after the media. He was going after all of his critics. He went after Ron DeSantis. He went after Chris Christie. But most importantly, he went after President Biden and the Democrats and issued a rather ominous threat against them all. Here is what he had to say in this threat that Donald Trump posted on Truth Social. I'm 12 points up on crooked Joe Biden. All right, got to go ahead and stop because you're already starting off with a huge, massive, giant lie. In no polls, even the ones that have shown you ahead, have you been up 12 points. That's not a thing that's ever happened, ever, in any of the polls this year or going back to the 2020 race. You have not now, nor have you ever been, nor will you likely ever be 12 points ahead of President Biden.
So far, so far, the polls are indicating that it's pretty. It's a pretty close race.
In fact, Morning Consult poll came out the same morning. Biden's actually back on top of Donald Trump nationally. So let me continue with more Trump lies. But he's got the Justice Department and others suing me wherever and whenever possible. Weaponization, it's called. And maybe that can make a difference. This has never been done on this scale before, not in our country, but it opens up a very big and dangerous Pandora's box. Joe Biden should stop his election.
Jesus. Polls are not votes. Bisky. Welcome.
Interfering thugs before it is too late for him and the rest of the country. As the leader of the opposition party, I should not be forced to campaign from inside a courthouse, which is very doable, but not very democratic or convenient. This is where they want me to spend my time and money, but it is not the way our system is supposed to work. If they filed these cases years ago, which they could have.
So how is the system supposed to work? If you're being investigated for crimes, that's exactly how this works, right? There's evidence enough to warrant a case against you, and now that evidence is going to be heard and tried in court. That is literally how the system is supposed to work. Okay. Ali with the 12 biddies, thank you, welcome. King Trump is 12 points down. No, I don't know if he's 12 points down. It's a pretty neck and neck race, as I've been saying.
This would not be a problem, but they want it to be a problem because they are bad. You sound like a child. Voters have and will reject.
They're bad. Orange Jesus is trending. What? Trump?
To all Democrats, be careful what you wish for. God bless America. Be careful what you wish for. Now let's address several things. Obviously, hey, should have done this years ago. Yeah, but the investigations hadn't concluded yet. So you see, it's kind of hard to bring charges when you haven't finished an investigation to make sure that you get all the charges.
Trump is not 12 points up. No, he's not. He's not 12 points up, and he's not 12 points down. It's a pretty neck and neck race right now.
Or that you have evidence to back up the charges. So I know you would have loved to have been indicted right after you left office, but we had to conduct investigations and do the whole due process thing, right? Kind of sucks, I know, but it's the law. So that's why you weren't charged years ago. Secondly, this is not election interference. You did bad things according to the 91 felony charges against you, and so you're having to face the consequences. You'll have your day in court. If you can fight these charges, if you can prove that it's all bupkis, then hey, great, you're free to go. And by the way, being in court for the New York fraud trial actually hasn't stopped you from campaigning. You've still been out there, you've still been doing things, you've been doing interviews, rallies, posts on social media, much like this one. So you don't seem to be hindered in any possible way. But let's get to the heart of it, right? You're essentially threatening the Democrats that you, if you get back into the White House in 2024, are just going to investigate all of them. Because it's Pandora's box, right? The box has been opened. All the bad things are out there. You're going to investigate everybody because you are promising that you,
the Biden crime family, will be brought to justice. Jesse James, welcome.
will weaponize the DOJ. And it's not because Biden did it. You're just using that as an excuse because Biden didn't do it. You did bad things and got caught. But now you're promising, you're actually running on a platform of weaponizing the DOJ against your political enemies.
While complaining that that's what's happening to you, when that's actually not the case. But you are threatening to do it for real, which is classic.
And it's not just, by the way, limited to the Democrats. Any Republican that's gone against him, you'll also face investigations. So he doesn't even have power at the moment, yet he's already threatening to abuse it. And somehow the Republicans in this country still think that's our guy, the one who's pledging to abuse his power. That's exactly what we want back in the White House.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want.
Republicans, that's the way it is.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Hey, everyone. This is Aspen.
Why do you think why would you think anything else? Did you think that there is a separation between Trump and the Republican Party? He is the Republican Party. I don't understand. Fascism indeed. All right, can we just get 30 seconds of memes, okay? Can we just get a 30-second meme real quick? So, George Santos is currently facing what it seems to be all but certain expulsion consequences for being, corrupt, too outwardly corrupt, and no longer defensible for the Republican Party. And this gem of an exchange happened during this procedure.
You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
My colleague wants to come up here.
Yeah, so that's hilarious, but also true. I mean, it makes it's empty coming from, a Republican, but yeah.
Call me a crook. Same colleague who's accused of being a woman beater. Are we really going to ignore the facts that we all have
Again, this is like a debate over whether or not this dude should be expelled because of him being a crook.
and we all have the media coming out against us on a daily basis. I can go and read about all my colleagues. I'm not going to stand here to smear them. I'm not going to stand here and use the time I have.
I love how, he admits that, basically, every Republican has, something.
To say ill things about my colleagues. I refuse to stoop to that level.
They voted 3 times and he's still here? Jesus. I want him to name names. Yeah, that would be nice, right? And like also just like this is a perfect snapshot of like what of what we've got going on at the Republican Party, right? You have a allegedly accused woman beater calling a allegedly accused and under investigation fraudster a crook. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get any more classic than that, right, for the Republican Party? Both of those accusations will get more Republican votes. True. I'm surprised they didn't get rid of him on the first vote. I thought they were all pretty gung-ho about expelling him. Anyways, I thought that was pretty funny. I guess if he ends up being expelled, we'll talk. We'll make that announcement because it's still ongoing, isn't it? Vote to expel. Hold on. Oh, okay. No, it's gonna go to a vote on Friday. Tomorrow. Sorry. Yeah, vote tomorrow. Okay. Cool. Sorry, I was trying to make sure I had my my ducks in a row there. Santos is Trump Jr. GOP may keep him. Maybe. I don't know. It's the cat's kind of out of the bag, right? They can't really justify the stuff that he's done. Because, like, mind you, the problem isn't the stuff that he did. For the Republican Party, just to be clear, for the Republican Party, the issue isn't that he did the stuff. The issue is that it got way too public, okay? That's the issue. There's a Trump GOP reality TV show universe since 2016 to present. Some of these people have been there beforehand. So some of these clowns have been there beforehand. It's not like Trump didn't just come in and make this. All right. Let's take a second. Let's take a second to talk about this monster out there with the 12 biddies, and also to take a moment to take a little celebration, because at the end of the day, this monster got away with everything, and he never faced a single day of justice. But you know what? We are gonna celebrate his death, because fuck this guy. Oh, yeah. You're next, Dick Cheney. Let's have a moment of ridicule for the disgusting war criminal Henry Kissinger. I used a cover version. I thought that this. I'm not telling. There's a. How's it going, Heat? There's a. There's a lot of threads going around explaining just how much of a monster this guy is. But we'll just kind of briefly take a second to remember him for all the monstrosities that he did. Henry Kissinger orchestrated a military coup in Chile, installing the violently oppressive Pinochet dictatorship. Tens of thousands of people were forcibly disappeared, executed, and their children stolen and given away under false identities. Henry Kissinger gave the green light to Argentinian dictatorship's murderous crackdown, which saw thousands of kidnapped, tortured, and killed. Oh, this is another good one.
Hello, I'm Lenny.
This is another good one. I'll put this one in the background.
From 1969 to 1973. He was the mastermind behind the carpet bombing of Cambodia, which deliberately targeted civilians, personally approving all 3,875 bombing raids in Cambodia. And to this day, Laos remains the most bombed country in world history. In Chile, Kissinger played a key role in orchestrating the US-backed 1973 coup that toppled the socialist government of Salvador Allende and installed the fascist Augusto Pinochet. Pinochet's brutal regime murdered thousands and subjected tens of thousands more to torture during his 16-year reign. Kissinger aided the Pakistani dictator Yahya Khan against Bangladesh's liberation war of 1971, enabling the mass slaughter of an estimated 300,000 to 3 million people. Kissinger authorized and armed Suharto, the Indonesian dictator, in his genocidal invasion of East Timor in 1975. This campaign led to the death of over 200,000 Timorese through massacres and forced starvation. In 1976, Kissinger gave his pre-approval to Argentina's right-wing military junta for their dirty war against leftists, resulting in the brutal murder, torture, and disappearance of over 30,000 people. This is only a glimpse into the extensive list of Kissinger's crimes, and new things are still being revealed every year. While Kissinger continues to be honored and held in high regard by the mainstream political establishment, it's clear that he should rightfully be remembered as one of the biggest mass murderers in history.
Yeah. Well, he never answered for any of those crimes. At least he's fucking dead. Fuck that guy. Out of all the ghouls, that dude's definitely up there. Out of all the ghouls that are in existence right now, he's definitely up there. Definitely one of the ghouliest ghouls of ghouls. Of course not, he ate at the capitalist empire building. That's true.
MSNBC has canceled Mehdi Hasan's show, which, in my opinion, was the best thing the network had going. So, in this video, I'm going to go over what happened here. I'll give you the full context, why I have mixed feelings about why this show may have been canceled. But one thing's for sure, Mehdi Hasan has been the clearest critic on MSNBC about the far right-wing Israeli government and the ongoing atrocities. This has been obvious throughout the past couple of months. He has been a very important voice, especially in the mainstream when it comes to covering this topic. So this does seem like a very interesting time to decide to cancel the show, despite the context that I will give you. So first, if you want to go to Mehdi Hasan's show on Twitter or just
Also, like, hey, where's the right wing? Where's the anti-cancel culture people? At least it frees him up to do better content. Yeah, I guess that's the silver lining out of all this, right? He can literally just branch off and do his own thing.
just search his name on YouTube. Clips upon clips, fantastic segments, and great interviews. A lot of the interviews as well are, when it comes to guests that he disagrees with, can be adversarial. He challenges his guests, unlike a lot of hosts who just want the access, which also I think goes to, for any actual news organization, challenging guests would be an asset. But for a place like MSNBC, I think they view it as a hindrance because then it hurts them in their ability to get other guests on the show. So
the right wing is saying this is cancel culture eating its own. Phenomenal stuff. Welcome to Simulacra. Wow.
So, mainstream press, whether it's MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, they're always in the game of access journalism, being very kind to their guests, regardless of how terrible those people are. Mehdi Hasan has been one of the few that's willing to buck that trend and actually challenge people on his show, and it's been fantastic to watch. But Semaphore here broke the story. Max Tanny, MSNBC cancels Mehdi Hasan's show. Going on right here, two people familiar with the move, which MSNBC privately announced to staff Thursday morning, told Semaphore that Hasan will become an on-camera analyst and fill-in host. The network plans to expand host Ayman Mohiuddin's weekend program to 2 hours to replace Hasan's show. Over the past several years, Hasan became a cult favorite online for his tough interview style and impassioned monologues, but these never translated to ratings successes on the weekends or during fill-in appearances on primetime shows. So Semaphore is generally a very reliable outlet. I don't have the ratings in front of me. I don't have access to them, but I trust their opinion here, or the data they apparently have, saying that
They seem to think people getting canceled has only been around for 15 years.
MSNBC has been struggling on the weekends, which we'll get to in a second here as well. So I'm sure this factors into it, that they want to mix things up, see what else they can do. But this also goes to the issue generally with how cable news operates. It's all about the ratings, as opposed to valuing what is actually important, and that is, who are these people that we're putting on air that are telling people the news?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the information is secondary because it's a for-profit institution, right? The information and content is secondary. It only matters insofar as how much money it brings or views it brings, and that corresponds to the advertisers or whatever. Mehdi was always just one interview away from being shit-canned. This was one, and this one was an Israeli advisor. Oh, man. Yeah, like I said, it's very well, it may be the case that triggered it.
But are they able to tell are they able to give people news in a way that, may be hard to find elsewhere, or are they able to present in a way that really discusses and captivates people and really educates the audience? Or is it just all about the ratings? Because look, I'll do videos. I've done many videos on Israel, for example, that don't do very well, but I still do videos on it, on the conflict, because they're important. It's important, I think, for me to cover it. So MSNBC, a place like that, of course they're covering that issue, but they're not always going to give you the perspective that they're not always going to prioritize the objective reporting.
Not always. And like the thing is, it's just, well, what can give us the what can give us the widest profit margins? Not whether or not the content is good, whether or not the content is true. Even you see Fox News; they're not really interested in that whatsoever, right? At this point, every MSM outlet is just a front to push nonstop pharma ads at you until you go comatose and drool on your couch. Unironically, I feel that. I mean, like, if you watch like cable news for any amount of time, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yellow King, how's it going? Welcome.
They're not always going to prioritize a challenge of power. They're going to prioritize ratings. And that goes to how they present the information. That goes to how they frame. Framing is everything when it comes to the information. It's what they decide to cover and how they frame that story. Everything else in between is just filler. It's all in the framing, all in the presentation. And Mehdi Hasan, I think, has, again, been one of the unique voice. To be fair, Ayman is actually pretty good as well, as is Ali Velshi. But Mehdi Hasan, I think, stands head and shoulders above everybody else in his ability to really discuss the news in a way that no one else can, and challenges power, I think, most importantly, challenges power in a way that no one else does. But this gets to, as well, the...
Want to know how my dad and I got our bodies like this? We just did 7
What are you
minutes
trying to
of
sell me, dude? Have you seen me?
All the context, because it isn't just Mehdi Hasan's show. It's the entire weekend is being scrambled up. So the changes, which will take effect on January 13th, so it's not an immediate cancellation, will alter almost every hour of the weekend.
That ad was phenomenal, right? What a perfectly targeted ad, right?
Where MSNBC has apparently struggled in the ratings for years through a series of lineup revamps. So they have a new show called The Weekend with Alicia Menendez, Simone Sanders Townsend, and Michael Steele. And because of that, they also canceled Sanders Townsend and Menendez's show. I'm not as familiar with Menendez, but Simone Sanders is as standard Washington news as they come. So it's not like they canceled her show because she's being too critical of power or too critical of Israel. So this goes to a whole revamping of the entire weekend. But to me, this also goes back to, what do you prioritize? Are you simply focused on the ratings?
Yes. Or
do you understand how much of an asset someone like Mehdi Hasan is? And even if he is struggling in the ratings, maybe move him around, maybe give him a different slot, maybe give him a primetime slot during the week. Like, that's... If you value news, then you would understand how important Mehdi Hasan is to your network. But because they're canceling his show and just now using him as a fill-in host and an occasional guest, to me that shows me that MSNBC is not valuing the asset that they have. So they also moved Jonathan Capehart's show to a different time slot. Yasmin Vesuvian, her show will end. She will continue as a national reporter for MSNBC. And Alex Witt will expand to 3 hours. Ali Velshi, again, who I mentioned earlier, also one of the solid hosts on the network, is staying where he is and hosts 4 hours on the weekend. So this is why I'm torn on the reasoning behind this. Even though, again, if you valued Mehdi Hasan or understood his value, you'd keep him in some kind of show or in his own show. But because they are keeping Ali Velshi where he is, and they're expanding Ayman to an extra hour, this isn't strictly about the perspective that these hosts are offering. Because if it was, they would get rid of Velshi, Ayman, and Mehdi Hasan, and they're not doing that. But you could argue Mehdi Hasan is clearly the most valuable of the three in the information he presents and how he presents it in his interview style, and they're deciding to cancel his show, which I think does say something. I just want to end on this as well, just going on the discussion around why the network may be struggling, at least, on the weekends. The viewership is very old. Like, this is from 2018, so I can imagine it's only gotten worse. But MSNBC, 24%. This is from, again, Public Opinion Strategies. MSNBC, 65 plus, 24%. They have a larger 65 plus viewership than Fox News, apparently, according to this. So that's a little concerning. And of course, largely white at 70%. Of course, Fox News more white, which also makes sense. But, a large, older white audience. There's also Pew Research here. Apparently, according to them, MSNBC has the oldest audience, which is kind of surprising. But if you look at the question, so they say here, people whose main political news source. So this is about main political news sources. Percentage who are blank among those who name each as their main source for political and election news. Young people, even if they're checking out Mehdi Hasan's clips on YouTube or Twitter, I don't think any of them would consider MSNBC, at least most of them clearly don't, to be their main source of news. Younger people typically, at least people that are, I shouldn't just generalize younger, but people that are more...
Who in the heck in the 18 to 34 category is watching Fox News? You'd be surprised. And it's not a good thing. You'd be surprised.
That are following news, that are younger, tend to get their information from a variety of sources. So maybe that's why you're seeing NPR appear or New York Times, because there are, various hosts with different perspectives that I think are more clearly defined on a place like New York Times than on MSNBC. But regardless of the reasoning here, if this is the audience tuning into MSNBC, this older audience here, yeah, they're going to be less inclined probably to watch Mehdi Hasan, which unfortunately, he's the person they should be watching the most. They're the ones that, this is the audience, the older audience are the ones that need to watch Mehdi Hasan, because they're not going on YouTube. They're not going on TikTok. But it's just, when you have an older demographic, they're going to skew to what they are comfortable with. And that is not going to be Mehdi Hasan. That's going to be more like, Morning Joe. But again, I don't think it's strictly Mehdi Hasan's perspective or criticisms of Israel or even Joe Biden that have led to this position. I think it's a whole bunch of reasons, but clearly you can at the very least argue that MSNBC does not see the value that they have in Mehdi Hasan. They are not valuing the news over ratings.
Republican right-wing families, 18 is usually just about finishing high school. Yeah, it makes sense. The content is not what is shocking. The fact that they sit in front of the television with cable or satellite service to watch Fox News is what's shocking. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised, all right? It's not good. It's not great. You'd be surprised. Speaking of which, hey, let's check back in with the Tim Pool Beanie compound and see what kind of normal and hinged conversations are happening at the Tim Pool compound. I'm pretty sure this is all very normal and very hinged conversations, right?
Here's the problem. The problem is that anonymity on the internet allows for the ghettoizing of beliefs that are not approved by the regime.
That in and of itself is, oh boy. Whew. I'd be willing to bet it's more 34 and less 18. Probably. That in and of itself is already a red flag. The ghettoizing of language that the regime doesn't approve. What?
Here's the problem. The problem is that anonymity on the internet allows for the ghettoizing of beliefs that are not approved by the regime. So a lot of people will say, well, I have to be anonymous on the internet because if my boss finds out that I've got these views, they'll fire me. But you're only in the position where your boss could fire you for finding out about those views because you've allowed those views to be completely ghettoized through anonymity online. If
okay, so wait a minute. So is this dude like basically complaining that like people are like, I can't be an out and about Nazi and just like scream racial slurs at people, because I have to do it anonymously, because if not, if my boss finds out, then they're gonna fire me. Like, yeah, dude, that sounds like a you problem. Like, what beliefs could you possibly have, that you are saying that you have to be anonymous because you get fired for? In his mind. I'm talking about his mind.
5 million people came out today, and
because like, and this is the kicker that's coming up right now, because like, he's not talking about like people, he's not talking about people that get like punished and get like sacked for their job for, like, for example, because he won't make a comment if a person were to get fired, for example, for I don't know, saying something about being pro-Palestine, and they get fired. He's not talking about those people. Sorry, type. Many people in Massachusetts are right wing. That's why a talk radio exists. But most Massachusetts politicians, the governments are liberal.
Online. If 5 million people came out today and said the N-word.
I mean, I think we can just stop this clip right here, right? Because that's it. That's the point. Listen, I want to be able to be as grotesque as possible. I want to be able to say like literally racial slurs to people, and like not be fired. Like, this is exactly what it comes down to. That's what he's saying, essentially. The CEO or the founder of the Daily Wire. This is exactly what he's saying. He's like, why can't I say the N-word? That's what's going through his mind. You know, if everybody just stood up and said the N-word, you know, that's it. I could just say it.
I'm not recommending it, but no one would ever get fired for saying the N-word again. Like,
yeah, they would be able to.
And then, of course, Beanie Man just immediately, there's no pushback. And there isn't going to be any pushback. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're creating you're creating a hostile work environment. Can you imagine if we, like, allowed, like, people to just be, like saying slurs to each other in the workplace? Go. I want to say all the naughty words while keeping all the advertisers. Yeah, sure. Schrodinger's asshole is what I call them. Like, dude just literally just wants to say the N-word, okay? That's what's going on. Like, how can I get more, how can I normalize the slurs?
You wouldn't be able to. You would have brought that to a conclusion. That little absurdity in our culture.
What absurdity that you can't just like go around and yelling slurs at people? In this case, in your particular example, like the absurdity of like you not being able to just run around and saying like the N-word to like black people. What are you talking about?
would be brought to an end. The ghettoizing of our beliefs allows.
There it is. There it is. That term again. The ghettoizing of our belief. Like, man, that sounds like a weird, like, racist dog whistle, man.
For the punishment of anyone who steps outside of the ghetto.
Yeah.
So if they catch you.
Oh, I see what you were saying, Michael Hassler. Okay, it's all coming together now. I see what you're saying about the like, the anti-Semitism. I see it. Okay. The guy in the video wants free speech but no consequences. Right, he just wants to say the N-word, right? He just wants to say the N-word. That's what this comes down to, really.
Saying what you believe, they can fire you. But if we all just had our names on it, we're saying the things that we believe.
Yeah.
And you might say that we would have more cultural cohesion if we didn't have online anonymity too, because...
Hey, here's a question. He's the owner and CEO of the Daily Wire, right? He's like the head honcho of the Daily Wire. Why can't his employees just outright just start saying slurs in their content? I mean, he wouldn't fire them, right? Why not he be why not he lead by example and allow all his employees at the Daily Wire, who already want to do that anyways, who already are completely fine with saying slurs, I'm sure. Looking at you, Matt Walsh. Why not just give them the green light? I might say guy in the video, but very silly might be. This is the founder or CEO, the head honcho of the Daily Wire.
The online anonymity also allows us to become more radicalized in ways that left and right, in ways that probably aren't ultimately good.
So, I agree, but I think it's a cultural issue.
Jeez, that's a perfect ending to that clip, right? A phenomenal ending to that clip. I don't know. I think he should lead by example and let all his employees start using slurs. All right, one more clip, because I think this is pretty funny. Just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit.
Work well. You all are allowing delinquent employees to sit on their cell. You all are allowing delinquent employees to sit on their sofas at home instead of actually getting to work and doing their jobs. This is absolutely unacceptable.
So our employees are working whether they are in the office or at home, and they are.
Are you monitoring the work that they are doing from home on a regular basis?
Yes, we are.
Every employee, do you have?
What do you think happens, dude? I work from home full time. If I'm like not doing my work, I'm screwed. Do you not think that that people don't have ways? Do you think that people don't have ways of like tracking whether or not your job gets done? That's absurd. Megyn Kelly and Roseanne Barr are going to be in the Daily Wire animation. I sit in an office chair at home. If you don't do your work, people are going to notice, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Do you have the numbers of the hours that are submitted? Are you counting how many times they're logging into their computers and responding to casework?
So our employees are subject to the same performance management processes and oversight they are whether they're teleworking or working in an office. And we have systems in place that our managers use to schedule, assign, and track workloads. And that includes individual employee workloads in many cases.
Yeah, like literally every freaking every remote like job, okay? Like government remote work is going to be the same, right? Like they're going to track what you do. And if you're not working, they're going to know.
Cases. So real-time understanding of what actions are being processed at any particular given time. Additionally, our employees are required to be accessible to their supervisors, clients, colleagues, and external parties during work hours via a variety of means, including instant messaging, video platforms, and telephone. They are connected to the workplace, whether they are in the office or at the home.
Yeah, just like we are. That's why productivity increased during the pandemic. Yeah. News, Trump attorney Lena Habba is accused of tricking a Trump employee into signing a non-disclosure agreement after alleged sexual harassment claims. A former Trump National Club employee, Alice Bianco, has filed a lawsuit in New Jersey court accusing the club manager Pavel Melchior of sexual harassment coercion into sex in 2021. Bianco alleges retaliation in the workplace in an attempt to silence her through an illegal NDA.
Then why is the backlogs for Social Security applicants increased from 41,000?
This is my favorite part of this clip, okay? This is my favorite part of this clip.
To 107,000.
Because we've been historically underfunded for a number of years now.
I don't think you're underfunded.
She's just so stupid. She's just so stupid.
You're funded at the Nancy Pelosi levels, at the Democrat levels.
And that doesn't mean it's enough funding.
So we just continued that same funding.
So I would say
at pandemic level spending.
So I would say we have an increase of over 8 million beneficiaries over the last 10 years. At the same time, we experienced our lowest work staffing levels at the end of FY22. That's a math problem. I mean, that is a problem. If you have those workloads, increasing, and you don't have the staff to take care of those workloads, you're going to have the backlogs that you're talking about, Representative.
Well, I would love to see.
She's so stupid. So stupid. Yeah, which is still underfunded. I get away with whatever I want to do, no matter what I preach. All right, that's enough of that. She's so stupid. All right. Her head would explode if she actually read the data. That's assuming the fact that she could, actually process all that. This road in Detroit is the first in the country to charge an EV. Hey, this is cool. A new quarter-mile stretch of road in Corktown can charge electric vehicles as they zoom down the street, a first in the nation. Things like this that could have probably been worked on for years now. It's so infuriating that we've poured so much money into useless garbage like the military budget, which is effectively a multiple hundreds of billions of dollars black hole. When we could be doing stuff like this. She is a disgrace. The Michigan Transportation Department and City of Detroit on Wednesday opened a segment on 14th Street between Maranat and Dalzell streets near the Michigan Central Station, where Ford Motor Company is building an electric and autonomous vehicle campus. The road is equipped with an inductive charging coils from Israel-based Electron Wireless Ltd. to test the technology's efficiency and potential for public transportation opportunities. Only EVs equipped with a special receiver can be charged from it. Range availability of charging infrastructure and speed to charge alongside affordability are some of the biggest hurdles for Americans to purchase EVs. Those challenges have resulted in increasing pace of EV sales slowing this year, even as more vehicle options have become available. Automakers, as a result, have delayed EV launches, postponed production dates for battery plants, and slashed EV programs. The great thing about electric roads is imagine if you have a stationary charger, said Stefan Tonger, the Electron's vice president of business development. It stays idle for a very long time because people use it during lunch breaks or when they start to go somewhere. In this case, imagine a road where people are driving all the time. The utilization of that infrastructure, which is a long time, 10, 15 to 20 years, you have a return on investment, increase utilization, and reduce the cost of charging much more. Governor Gretchen Whitmer in September of 2021 announced a pilot initiative to develop the nation's first wireless charging infrastructure on a public road in Michigan. She quipped that the state is going to electrify the damn roads. In a pre-recorded video, MDOT and Electron have a 5-year agreement to develop an electric road system to test technology. Technology in the state, including another 3/4 mile stretch on Michigan Avenue, mostly in Corktown. The project includes a $1.9 million state grant and $4 million in funding from Electron and its investors. Our biggest role here is ensuring that we can build out the necessary network, said MDOT Director Bradley Wiferick. It's our job to create the environment and help develop the technologies that are going to ease that. Electron's wireless charging technology uses inductive coupling between copper coils installed below the road surface and a receiver installed on an EV. Like a large wireless phone charger, the road transfers electricity through a magnetic field when coils are activated by the presence of the receiver when a vehicle is parked or driving over them. That energy is then moves to the vehicle's battery. Construction digs deep into the ground to set the coils in place, although otherwise the road building process is the same. Cool. Tonger said initially the focus is on commercial uses, highly frequent in corridors and places where vehicles might do a lot of idling, such as delivery locations, bus terminals, and queues for crossing a bridge. Electron installed the technology in roadways starting in 2019 in Sweden and has since expanded to Germany, Italy, and Israel, and is also working on forthcoming projects in Utah. A bus fleet manager in Israel pays a fee to use the EV charging roadways. Tonger said the revenue model can be a subscription based on how much energy a vehicle consumes or more like a toll road. There also may be opportunities in monetizing the technology to offset lost gasoline taxes from EVs. The receiver isn't commercially available and isn't going to be expected to be widely available for another 2 to 3 years. Tonger said Electron is working with automakers like Ford, Toyota, Stellantis, and other integrations as well as retrofitting. The Detroit project is meant to test the technology's performance in real-world conditions and how to scale it. Electron worked with the DTE Energy Co. To install several management units that provide electricity through ground wires to each of the coils. Each one powers 60 coils. Jeez. Casey Lee is making me dab. All right. There you go. That's a proper dab. Give me 1 second, folks. Welcome. All right. The electric road is safe for drivers, pedestrians, and wildlife. According to the project leaders, there are 2 Electron static inductive charging stations in front of the new lab Michigan Central building, which is adjacent to the former train station. The charging stations can charge parked EVs equipped with the receivers. A light-duty vehicle might pick up 20 to 25 kilowatts of charge compared to the 30 for 35 for a heavy-duty vehicle. They can also have more than one receiver to increase the charging benefits. The stretch of road on 14th Street runs alongside the new lab at the Michigan Central building. New lab houses more than 60 tech and mobility startups, including Electron, Michigan Central Station is expected to open to the public in spring or summer of 2024. This is what Michigan Central is all about, not only convening key partners across the public and private sector to fuel innovation and create jobs and investment in Detroit, but also providing the environment to safely test and hone technology like Electron in real time and in the real world, said Michigan Central CEO Josh Seiferman in a statement. It is through this collaboration and advancement that Michigan Central is helping to tackle the global problem and fast-track solutions to many of our greatest mobility challenges. Remaining work on 14th Street is expected to continue to the end of 2023. More testing of the inductive charging technology using an e-transit van provided by Ford will begin in 2024. Also in 2024, MDOT will seek to rebuild parts of the US 12 Michigan Avenue. It will include inductive charging as well. The corridor has been pegged for a connected and autonomous vehicle roadway across the Detroit to Ann Arbor under a project with Cavenue LLC. In addition to the first wireless charging public roadway, the Motor City is also the first mile of concrete road and the first three-way traffic signal. Nice! Nice. See? We can do stuff. Man, the good news just doesn't stop today. Senate Judiciary Committee authorizes subpoenas for Harlan Crow and Leonard Leo in the Supreme Court ethics probe. Yep, that's still going on. Democrats in the Senate Judiciary Committee voted to issue subpoenas to GOP mega donor Harlan Crow and conservative judicial activist Leonard Leo on Thursday, marking a new front in the panel's investigation into ethic practices at the Supreme Court. The subpoenas were approved following a contentious meeting in which Republicans accused their Democratic colleagues of attempting to undermine the Supreme Court by targeting private citizens. What are you talking about? If they're not just private citizens. They've literally been found to have been essentially, for all intents and purposes, there's no other word to describe this other than bribing Supreme Court justices. They're not just private citizens. The committee's GOP members walked out of the room while the vote took place, with only Senator Lindsey Graham, to the panel's top Republican, remaining. All 11 Democrats voted to authorize the subpoenas. Big bad. Also, like, hey, faith in the Supreme Court is supposed to be, like, incredibly important, right? And if people are questioning the Supreme Court, wouldn't it be a good thing that we're having these ethics investigations or ethics committees? In other words, that says a lot about a Republican Party, right? Because it's their guys. It's their guys. Lawmakers are seeking documents from Crow and Leo about gifts, trips, and lodging provided to any member of the High Court. Clarence Thomas and Alito. Their involvement in luxury trips provided to Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito were revealed in reports this year. Quote, their attempts to thwart legitimate oversight efforts of Congress should concern all of us, the Judiciary Committee Chairman Dick Durbin said before the vote on the subpoenas. As I've said before, I do not seek this authorization lightly, and I don't ask for it often, but to protect Congress's authority and advance the committee's efforts to implement an enforceable code of conduct for the Supreme Court, it is Justice Harlan Crow. It is necessary to seek authorization to pursue compulsory process with respect to Mr. Leo and Mr. Crow. The Illinois Democrat called Crow and Leo central players in the ethic challenges at the Supreme Court. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that are showering these justices, these two in particular, and especially Clarence Thomas, with a lot of goodies. Graham has accused Democrats for attacking the integrity of the court. Yeah. And there's good reason. There's good reason at this time to question the integrity of the court. which now has a 6-3 conservative majority. And there it is. That's why he's big mad. Following the decision on abortion, gun rights, and affirmative action, he said the investigation involving Leo and Grow is politically motivated. Well, it's a political process. Yes, this is politics. It is political. Yes, it is. This is a political process. This is a political process within politics. Yes. Yeah. And could lead senators to pursue subpoenas for private citizens they dislike. No, it's not necessarily. If that's what you think, that kind of gives away the game for you, right? Because what you're saying is that if I'm in that, if I'm given that position, I'm just going to go after my political opponents. But that's not exactly what's going on here. The reasons why Leo and Grow are being subpoenaed is because they are important players to this ethics investigation. It's not just because they're political, they're supposedly political opponents. That's like saying that's like saying investigating Donald Trump is a politically motivated is a politically motivated endeavor. So therefore, if I get into power, I'm going to investigate all the Democrats. No, he's being investigated because he's doing some really sketchy stuff. And it caught the attention of the Justice Department. That's why he's being investigated. That's why we're going through the court cases. The same goes for this. It just kind of gives away what they're thinking and what they would do given that same power and position. Quote, this is about an ongoing effort to destroy this court, to destroy Clarence Thomas's reputation. No, I think Clarence Thomas has done that the job fine. He doesn't need help doing that. He doesn't need help doing that. I can assure you. To pack the court. Yes. To pack the court. Yes. I see the Democrats moving to pack the courts. Hey, which Democrat has really been adamant and active and advocating for packing the Supreme Court? Yeah, me neither. To get your way, to make sure that the Supreme Court that exists today can't function. What are you talking about? The point of this ethics thing is to investigate and potentially suggest ethical codes, enforceable ethical codes. If you think that that's going to destroy the Supreme Court, or if you think that that's going to make the Supreme Court that exists today not be able to function, that's a problem, right? If you think that an ethics code that is actually enforceable is going to destroy the Supreme Court or make it non-functional, yeah, we got bigger problems, don't you think? Correct. Correct, Conscious Canuck. Democrats on the panel had also planned to seek approval of a subpoena to a third Republican donor, Robin Arkley II, but Durbin dropped that demand after Arkley turned over information to the committee. Following the vote, a statement from Crow's office accused the committee of Democrats violating the panel's rules to issue the subpoena, which it has called invalid and unenforceable. The statement said that Crow has been and remains willing to engage with the committee in good faith, and has offered information in response to the Democrats' requests. Quote, committee Democrats have made intrusive demands of a private citizen that far exceeds any reasonable standard and, to this date, has not explained why it is necessary. to craft legislation, particularly now that the committee has completed its work on ethics, on the ethics legislation. Still, Mr. Crow maintains his readiness to discuss the matter further with the committee. I don't understand why you want to take away these justices that I've bought and paid for. Why are you trying to give them ethical codes? Leo criticized the Democrats on the panel, saying in a statement that they have been destroying the Supreme Court and now they're destroying the Senate. I will not cooperate with this unlawful campaign of political retribution. You can say that all you want. That's not exactly the case. And how is the Supreme Court being destroyed? Like, explain that one to me. Like run it by me. In sequence. Like, how is the Supreme Court being destroyed right now? Is merely questioning the Supreme Court destroying it? That's a problem. Is merely asking for ethics, enforceable ethics, destroying the Supreme Court? That's a problem. The Judiciary Committee began its investigation into ethics policies at the Supreme Court this spring in response to a series of reports from the investigative news outlets ProPublica, detailing the trips that Thomas took aboard Crow's private plane and yacht, luxury vacations the justice accepted from Crow, a billionaire real estate developer, over the 25-year friendship. Thomas did not disclose the travel on his annual financial disclosure forms, but said in response to the revelations that he did not believe that he had to do so under the exemptions of personal hospitality. Yeah, sure. Alito, meanwhile, traveled to Alaska for a luxury fishing trip in 2008 aboard a private jet provided by GOP donor Paul Singer, and accepted lodging from Arkley, the owner of a California mortgage company. Alito also did not disclose the trip, but refuted that it should have been reported, also citing the exceptions for personal hospitality. Man, that must be nice, right? So as long as you have like really, really rich, wealthy people in your inner circle that just happen to pay for like these exorbitant, luxurious vacations, you can just like write it off as like hospitality, and not, be a conflict of interest. Phenomenal how that works, huh? It's like trying to hold Christians to a code for giving your enemy, helping the poor and infirmed, and charity for all. Nah, that's socialism. That's socialism. Get out of here. Following the report of Thomas and Alito's trip, the Judiciary Committee requested information from Crow, Leo, and Arkley. Leo's repeatedly declined the committee's request. Leo's repeatedly declined the committee's request, and his lawyer told the panel in a letter October 19 that its inquiry lacked a valid legislative purpose. Leo, who has played a crucial role in the confirmations of several Supreme Court justices, also accused the committee's Democratic majority of engaging in political retaliation. That kind of tells it all, right? Of course he's super defensive. Look at this. It's only a bribe if the trip is to the bribe region of France. True. Crow offered to provide the Judiciary Committee with limited information, though it did not satisfy Senate Democrats. Republicans have defended Thomas and Alito and accused Democrats of unfairly focusing on them, while ignoring revelations from the Associated Press that Justice Sonia Sotomayor's court staff pushed public institutions to purchase her books, and that the justices declined to recuse herself from copyright cases before the court that involved her book publisher. I mean, like, yeah, that's fair game too. So, in other words, there should be at the end of the day, the main argument is that there should be an enforceable code of ethics. And yeah, there should be. This is just another another example. Neil Gorsuch also did not step aside in a case involving the publisher of his 2019 book. Thomas's ties to Crow in particular created mounting pressure on the Supreme Court to adopt a binding code of ethics. And your response shouldn't be like, what about Sonia Sotomayor? Yeah, that's bad too. Now, can we get together and work on a ethics code? Oh, no, you actually don't want to do that. Got it. So the issue isn't the fact that, like, the Supreme Court justices are violating, like, are essentially flaunting, like, ethics. It's that they're your Supreme Court justices. That's the issue. Thomas's tie to Crow in particular created mounting pressure on the Supreme Court to adopt a binding code of ethics, and the Judiciary Committee advanced along party lines this summer legislation that would require the Supreme Court to adopt an enforceable set of ethic rules. The court announced earlier this month that it had adopted for the first time a formal code of conduct, though it does not include an enforcement mechanism, so nothing. The implementation of ethic policies came after several justices expressed support for a formal set of ethic policies. Chief Justice Roberts acknowledged and made that the court can do more to adhere to the highest standards of ethical conduct, and that justices are continuing to look at things we can do to give practical effect to that commitment, like an enforceable code of ethics. A shadowy docket. I vaguely remember. I actually vaguely remember seeing this book. It rings a bell. It rings a bell. Yeah, I mean, like, fundamentally, he basically makes, obviously, like, the logical, he reaches, like, the logical conclusion that this is nonsense. We do need a mechanism of enforcing a code of ethics. I mean, like, literally every other, court, level of courts have enforceable code of ethics. He's been on the majority report. I knew that name was vaguely familiar. Yeah, everyone else in the judicial circuit has like enforceable code of ethics. So it's like wild that the highest court has none. I knew that name rung a bell. I'm like, wait, this sounds like this dude sounds very like vaguely familiar. Like I've seen this guy before. Yeah. Accountability and independence are mutually exclusive, something the justices are tacitly conceding by agreeing for the first time to formally adopt a code of conduct. But saying trust us isn't and shouldn't be enough. To trust the old Russian proverb that's appropriated by President Reagan, trust but verify. Phenomenal. If I'll repost the link. There you go. I thought his point was interesting about historical power shuffle. Jeez. between Congress and the court, and how it evolved from being one that is largely subservient to the legislator to one that effectively overpowers the legislator frequently. He described how a lot of it was maybe somehow accidental, but had far-reaching effects. Yeah, no doubt about it. Oh, this is a podcast episode. Is this a podcast episode or a here? I'll repost it. It's an NPR podcast. It's quite good. Sometimes a little dry. It's good for the law stuff, I find. Yeah, I just went back and I found the Majority Report interview about 5 months ago. Dang, I knew I'd seen this guy before. Here, before I finish up this article. This one is the Majority Report interview for that. Breaking: CNN drops Monreal, reveals that Trump's lawyer who has been helping him plan to orchestrate the fake elector scheme. And Chesbro flipped on Trump in a desperate effort to strike a deal with Nevada prosecutors to avoid prison. What? But gets worse for Trump. CNN reports that Chesbro's cooperation with Nevada prosecutor covers his involvement in that state, leading all the way up to Trump's deadly insurrection. That's interesting. Well, I hope it. It's the same guy. It's Chesbro. It's the same guy. That's very interesting. I hope that expands. I hope that expands into something. Justice Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett to express support for adopting a code, particularly as favorable opinions of the Supreme Court has fallen to historic lows. I wonder why. I wonder why. Speaking of which, New York Appeals Court reinstates the gag order against Trump in the civil fraud trial. A New York appellate court has reinstated the gag order prohibiting former President Trump and attorneys from making public statements about the court staff in the ongoing $250 million fraud suit. Judge Engoron originally issued the order barring Trump from making public statements about his court staff after Trump made numerous comments about his clerk, who Trump says is biased against him. Hundreds of threats against Engoron and the law clerk were made public last week. Engoron's clerk has received 20 to 30 calls per day to her personal cell phone and 30 to 50 messages on social media and 2 personal email addresses. Now, upon reading and filing the papers with respect to the motion and due deliberation, having been had thereon, it is ordered that the motion is denied. Mwah, mwah. The appeals court paused a gag order earlier this month, but on Tuesday said it should be restored while the official proceeding is pending. During a break in the trial Thursday morning, Engoron announced the appeals court ruling and reinstating that gag order. I intend to enforce the gag orders rigorously and vigorously. I want to make sure that counsel informs their clients of the fact that the stay was vacated. It was a tragic day for the rule of law, but we're aware. It is what it is, Engoron responded. The $250 million lawsuit was brought by the New York Attorney General's office, yada, yada, yada. And we all know. So essentially, the the gag order was reinstated. I mean, like, dude should be in jail. Dude doesn't respect any of this. Sounds cheesy. Dude has no respect whatsoever. He literally thinks he did nothing wrong and can get away with everything. So, I don't know. All right, folks. This one's important. The thing you kids don't understand is that men like Kissinger built your pampered little world. Nah, fuck off. Like, I know it's probably a troll since it's like a 1 hour account. Since it's literally like a 1 hour account. But like, yeah, fuck off. Hey, I'm reinstating the STFU rule, which Trump is incapable of following that. For Republican governor, civics is the latest educational battleground. Lisa Phillips, a 7th grade social studies teacher at an Orlando charter school, appreciates many of Florida's new guidelines for teaching civics. She has enjoyed discussing as the state requires the advantages of U.S. government and economy have over socialism and communism, something that some of her immigrant students feel innately. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a troll. She doesn't, this is wild. I mean, Florida, of course. But the reason why we bring this up is because things like this, if they are successful in one area, they may be deployed in others. And she doesn't mind teaching about the influence of the Judeo-Christian tradition, which is wild, okay? Like, you want to talk about, like, indoctrination of students? You want to talk about the indoctrination of kids? What the fuck is this? The influence of Judeo-Christian tradition on the nation's founding documents, you mean like the separation of church and state specifically? Okay. The subject prompted her students at Central Florida Leadership Academy to reflect on how the country's politics, they believed, fell short of the basic morality of the Ten Commandments. Because we're not a Christian nation, ? And our, like, supposedly the way we run things is not based on the Bible. It's not supposed to be. This fall, Mrs. Phillips is one of one of thousands of social studies teachers adjusting to a hotly debated overhaul of civics in several conservative states. The revamp is led by Republican governors Ron DeSantis of Florida, Kristi Noem of South Dakota, Glenn Youngkin of Virginia, who have restricted how race and gender are discussed in schools. Yeah. These are the same people that have been fear-mongering about CRT or whatever the fuck. Wokeness. In schools or whatever. The new civics standards are, above all else, explicitly patriotic, nationalistic, emphasizing the importance of children having pride in their country. Nationalistic. So it's not just patriotism, it's just nationalistic. The standards do not avoid discussions of race, but frame racism in a particular light, not as a structural feature of American life, but as a deviation from the nation's norm and ideals. Yikes. Okay. The guidelines also remove or reduce hands-on. Like, no, understand that this is what they're trying to do. And this is how they're indoctrinating children. The guideline also removes or reduces hands-on activities such as mock elections. Why? That's actually such a good idea to have like mock elections, how to learn like hands-on as kids, as students, hands-on how the government functions and like what it entails. Debates on current events. Why? These are current events that are happening, and ideas can't be debated because they're current events. Like things can't be talked about and debated because they're current events. Oh boy, hey, isn't this a party of like freedom and free speech and small government and wow. They'd rather practice mock slavery, I guess, no doubt. In writing to elected officials, a reaction to widespread worry from conservatives that teachers use these activities to push their own political beliefs. So instead, we're gonna twist that and push our political beliefs because those are, yeah, got it. Got it. The state standards are yet another sign that the nation's schools are on track with deep divides over what children should learn about their country. In past decades, like states like California, Oregon, and Vermont have changed social studies by adopting ethnic study requirements and adding LGBTQ history, discrimination in housing and lending, and critiques of capitalism into the curriculum. Oh, so like a well-rounded, more open curriculum where students can learn different perspectives and get more information about the world. Got it. Huh. What a concept. Civics, a study of American government and the rights and duties of citizenship, is required in most states, but only about a fifth of American students have achieved proficiency in the subject. Yeah, given all this, makes it tracks. According to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, by 8th grade, according to the assessment, students should be able to identify the three branches of federal government and explain the workings of the Electoral College. Republican state officials say their civic standards will address knowledge gaps with a back-to-basics approach focused in part on closely reading the Constitution. But there's also an ideological motivation that some experts say could prevent the students from gaining a full understanding of the American government. In Florida, Virginia, and South Dakota, education policymakers turned to experts affiliated with the Hillsdale College, a Christian institution in Michigan that has taken a growing role in public education policy. In South Dakota, Governor Noem has vowed to defeat what she calls ascendant anti-Americanism in schools. Oof, that's yikes. That's pretty yikesy. In the state standards, which will be phased over in the next 2 years, first graders are expected to recite from memory the preamble to the Constitution and a meaty portion of the Declaration of Independence. By 5th grade, they're expected to recite the Gettysburg Address and explain the key ideas of Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Frederick Douglass, and Susan B. Anthony. Recitation? is a popular practice in the classical Christian schools, but some teachers, parents, and the American History Association have said that the standard could reduce the focus on critical thinking and have argued that for many children, the memorization may be too difficult, particularly those not fluent in English. Also, you're supposed to like debate these ideas and understand them, not just recite what the freaking not just recite what the freaking document says, but like understand it and go back and forth with these. Like, what do these documents mean? What do these essays mean? Do they memorize Douglas? What to the slave is the 4th of July? No, that's critical race theory. We're not gonna talk about that one. Maybe that's what they think about. Maybe that's what they're referencing. Maybe that's what they're referencing in terms of like un-American, ascendant un-American, anti-American. Maybe that's what they think. In Florida, the civics overhaul emphasizes teacher training and offers $3,000 to instructors of every subject and grade level, including math and gym, to take either an in-person or online civics course that features scholars affiliated with Hillsdale. Tens of thousands of educators have took up the offer. Every teacher at their core is a civics teacher, said Stephen Maciata, the director of Florida Joint Center for Citizenship at the Central Florida, who has worked with the DeSantis administration on the training. No matter what you're teaching, you're modeling good citizenship. According to several teachers who took the class but asked to remain unnamed because they were not authorized to speak to the news media, the course features video lectures that contradict what mainstream historians tend to teach about the founding. The lectures state that the founding fathers were influenced by Christianity more than secular enlightenment and its ideas, such as Montesquieu's theory of separation. Dude, that's so freaking basic. Like, I learned that, I think in middle school. Montesquieu. I remember that very well. I also had a very like nice civics teacher. Mainstream historians tend to believe that while Christian beliefs played some role in the founding, secular ideas were more central. Several Florida teachers expressed doubts about their preparation to teach material on Christianity, saying their training focused on secular texts and ideas. But teachers should not need a theology background to examine original texts and provide accurate and unbiased civics instructions. Said Alex Lanfranconi, a spokesperson for the Florida Department of Education, said in an email, educators who question their ability to teach the influence of biblical ideas, he said, may not be cut. What? Educators who question their ability to teach the influence of biblical ideas, he added, may not be cut out to teach civics in Florida. Jesus. On race and slavery, the civic standards follow laws that limit how history can be taught. Literally unironically 1984. The founders are portrayed as flawed, yet ultimately heroic. In South Dakota, for instance, 7th graders learned that Jefferson enslaved people, that he condemned the slave trade in an early draft of the Declaration of Independence. Okay. Florida's teacher training acknowledges that the Constitution protected the institution of slavery, such as in the Three-Fifths Clause and the Fugitive Slave Clause, but the training also argues that the Constitution planted the seeds of abolition by outlining a pathway for Congress to end the foreign slave trade in 1808. Oh, dude. Hey, question. How was actually the slave? How was slavery and how was slavery ended in this country? If the Constitution planted the seeds for abolition, what happened in when was the Civil War? Hey, what happened between 1861 and 1865? Albert S. Broussard, the history teacher of Texas A&M University and author of widely used high school textbooks on American history, said many of the framers were aware that slavery contradicted their stated Republican principles, but he teaches students that the Constitution was drafted as a document protective of racial slavery to secure the support of the Southern states. Yep. Conservatives have pushed anti-communist curriculums for a century. Their new standards oblige by taking a swing at the Soviet Union, China, and Cuba. In Virginia, where standards go into the full effect in 2 years, students will learn about the inhumanity and deprivation of totalitarian and communist regimes, and will be prompted to reflect on the superiority of the U.S. government and the free market. Jesus Christ! Brought to you by PragerU, right? I mean, like a faster way of like reading all through this is like, yep, students will now be just shown PragerU videos on repeat. Cool. Phenomenal. Amy Rogstad-Cadero, the Virginia Secretary of Education, said the comparison was important because of all the recent surveys and polls of young people who believe that capitalism doesn't work and that socialism is a better model. Hey, that's interesting. So if you're acknowledging the fact that like young people are completely disillusioned with the system that you supposedly say is superior, what does that say about the system? Instead of having like some self-reflection, instead like, no, you freaking double down on the authoritarianism, right? It's my way or the highway, okay? Like these young people are coming to the conclusion more and more often that capitalism is not working. It's not working. So instead of having some like introspection and having like critical thought and some intellectual gumption to try to like wrestle with this, instead you're just like, we're gonna go authoritarian. Yeah, that seems to be the play here. That's wild. Comparing forms of government is a good practice, said Donna Phillips, Vice President of the Center of Civic Education. The question is whether the guidelines present a foregone conclusion, which some of the best students said. Students, she said, should be encouraged to form their own ideas. Yeah, but that's not exactly what they're interested in. Students forming their own ideas is a problem because students forming their own ideas is shaking the support for capitalism. That's really what's happening. That's the problem here. Debate, however, is de-emphasized. Of course. In its history and civic standards, South Dakota goes so far as to warn teachers against discussing current events, stating debating current political positions or partaking in political activism at the bequest of a school or teacher does not belong in a K-12 social studies class. Social studies cannot discuss any current events or debate any political ideas like that are happening in a social studies class. Wow. And the color of one's skin does not determine what one can or should learn. What? By shying away from current political events may work against the natural interest many teenagers have in exploring the world around them. Such discussions can be motivational rocket fuel, said David Griffith, Associate Director of the Research at the Thomas B. Fordham Institute, a Washington think tank focused on school choice and academic rigor. Currently cooking 4,000 stuffed zucchinis in the MMO I play. Nice. Still, Mr. Griffith said he supported the South Dakota standards, praising what he called a very rigorous content. In Florida, Mr. Maciata argued that although the state banned critical race theory, discussions of race in current events like the killing of George Floyd could be conducted legally. You can talk about it in the sense of this doesn't live up to our founding principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He said you can't talk about it as our country has always been racist. Or maybe just tell the truth, dude. Like how come we have very observable how come these systems are providing very observable outcomes that are biased towards people of color? I don't understand. This isn't even like a difficult topic to discuss when it comes to like high school. To discuss the idea that like systems are providing disproportionate outcomes towards people of color, like that's a thing that's happening. I don't understand. This only makes sense in the sense that like you don't want people to learn, you don't want people to critically engage with ideas, and you don't want kids to essentially engage with the world as it exists. You want them to engage with the world that you artificially created for them. Hello, person that seems to have been banned in quite the amount of channels. Let's see how how long you last. The big question is whether these civics lessons will boost knowledge. Nah, I don't think they're interested in boosting knowledge. This fall, Mrs. Phillips, a 7th grade teacher in Orlando, presented fresh required content about the ancient Greek origins of American due process protections. Her students searched for parallels to the U.S. system. One student asked, do police make the laws? Another wondered, is there a jury in divorce court? Ms. Phillips noted that young adolescents tend to have a basic yet profound questions about government in which had a way of cutting through ideological debates. I make the choice to be positive. She said, America's changed a lot and there's still room to change. That's what the Constitution is all about. But also, describe the reality as it exists. But anyways, this is very, very, very disturbing. The fact that this is happening. The trolls are out tonight. Yeah, it's okay. So I haven't watched them, but apparently Twitch banned poly people. Not sure what happened. Jeez. Why do they ban poly people? I don't know. Poly was on last night. Well, did they just get banned like for one day? It was stated by Twitch that it was her attire. Not perma. So apparently they rescinded that. There's a the supposed offending outfit is not conservative, of course, but consistent or slightly more conservative than my typical attire. Oh, the post. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Give me a second. There's about 5 people this month on Twitch that got banned. Yeah, I saw. I did everything right and they still banned me. Well, I'm glad they got unbanned. Yes, banned or under review Twitch. No, they got unbanned. She's back. Oh, still banned? What? If you go to her channel, it says banned for violating TOS. Oh. I can't even find her channel. Yeah, it won't let me search for her channel unless I go like directly. Yeah, you're right. You got to type it in directly. Probably people link says on Twitch the channel is currently unavailable. Yeah. For some reason, I like read on her thing that it was unbanned, but I must have misread on her. I must have misread her post. No, that's unfortunate. At least she has a YouTube channel.
That I've been my life where I wasn't so lucky.
Yeah, I can't show a banned streamer on Twitch. That's true. So instead, I'll just do this. What a ridiculous rule. All right. Well, I hope she gets unbanned. Folks, it is time. Highlight, edit it, VOD? Yeah, no, I can't, I can't really show. I mean, like, I don't think, like, showing the Twitter might get me hurt, but it is what it is. It'll be alright. I think it's mostly ban people from invading by regularly ping on a friend's stream. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay if you, like, show a Twitter page. They'll be alright. They'll be alright. The Twitch console will be alright. I don't, I'm not afraid of getting banned because I showed a banned streamer's Twitter. Honestly, that was probably a good catch because, like, I almost accidentally opened up, like, her YouTube her YouTube page. It just happened to open up on the other side. I'm not telling. Telling about what? Nothing happened here. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Folks, it is that time. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for the biddies. I appreciate it. I don't know if I said thank you to Zia Duke last time for the biddies, but I appreciate the support. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. You guys are what makes this channel grow. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you to all the wonderful folks in chat. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. If you guys enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. And as Michael Hassler just put there, head on over to the YouTube channel. Hit the big red subscribe button. Like the stream. Do all the awesome stuff. I appreciate it. Spread the word. We're going to be back next week. We'll see about the Monday stream. I'm going to have to make an announcement and see if that's still a thing. But either way, we'll be back one way or another. If it's not Monday, it'll be Tuesday. Okay? We're not going anywhere. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you, Heat. See ya. Hang tight. Ground level news. Thank you. Hang tight, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.